Seoul National University was infamous for its suffocatingly competitive atmosphere. Among thousands of high-achieving students, two names were constantly the talk of the business faculty: Park Yin and Jungkook. They were like magnets with the same pole, always repelling yet somehow always near each other. What? Jungkook scored 98 in strategic management? Yin stared wide-eyed at the bulletin board, her fists clenched tightly at her sides. As if sensing her presence, Jungkook appeared behind her with an infuriating grin. Oh, Yin, looks like you got a 97, huh? Not bad for someone who… Shut up, Jungkook. Yin spun around sharply, her brown eyes flashing in anger. I just didn't get enough sleep yesterday. Wait for the next exam. Jungkook chuckled softly, shrugging. Is that so? I thought you were already giving it your all. Poor thing. Yin nearly swung her bag at his head if not for a passing professor. You're insufferable, she muttered, stomping off. Scenes like this had become a daily spectacle for other students. Park Yin, a beautiful girl with a sharp and competitive personality, was always clashing with Jungkook, the athletic heartthrob with a charming yet irritating smile. The ironic part was that their parents had been best friends for decades. The Park and Jeon families often held gatherings together, though Yin and Jungkook always avoided each other at such events. 4 years flew by quickly. Yin and Jungkook both graduated summa cum laude, with scores nearly identical. Yin narrowly excelled in certain subjects, while Jungkook dominated in others. After graduation, they joined their respective family businesses. Yin entered Park Group, a conglomerate in technology and manufacturing, while Jungkook focused on Jeon Corporation, known for property and investments. Yin, you need to start preparing to lead the marketing division, her father said one day in her luxurious office. One day, you'll be taking my place. Yin nodded firmly. She had been groomed for this since childhood. What she didn't expect, however, was another plan being quietly arranged by both families. Meanwhile, Jungkook received a similar message from his father. Jungkook, you're old enough. Your mom and I have talked about this for a long time. How about marrying Yin? Jungkook nearly choked on his coffee. Dad, are you serious? Yin has been my sworn enemy since college. That's exactly why. You're both smart and competitive. A perfect match to grow our businesses together. His father smiled knowingly. Besides, you've known each other forever. You're both the pride of our families. Your children will surely inherit that intelligence from both parents. That night, Yin sat uneasily in the family room. Her parents looked at her with hopeful eyes, while the Jeon family sat nearby, Jungkook's expression just as stiff as hers. So, what do you think? Yin's mother asked cheerfully. You're both adults. It's time to get married. And who could be better for each other than the two of you? Yin and Jungkook exchanged a brief glance before quickly looking away. Mom, I'm still young, Yin tried to protest. You're already 25, dear. The perfect age to get married, her mother interrupted gently but firmly. Jungkook cleared his throat. Uncle, Andy, we need some time to think. Of course, but don't take too long, Yin's father added with a smile. We're planning your wedding for next month. Next month? Yin and Jungkook shouted in unison, startling everyone in the room. After a long and exhausting discussion, Yin and Jungkook finally gave in. Neither of them was in a relationship at the moment, and there was no strong reason to refuse, except for the small detail that they couldn't stand each other. 1 month later, Yin stood before a large mirror wearing an opulent white wedding gown. Her appearance was flawless, yet her face looked tense. You look so beautiful, sweetheart, her mother said, adjusting Yin's veil. Jungkook will be mesmerized. Yin forced a bitter smile. Mesmerized? He's probably wishing he could run away from the altar right now, she grumbled inwardly. Meanwhile, Jungkook was straightening his tuxedo with his father's help. His appearance was perfect, tall, handsome, and charismatic, but his eyes lacked the sparkle of a man about to marry the love of his life. The wedding was held in grand style at one of Seoul's luxury hotels. Hundreds of guests attended, including both families' business partners. Yin and Jungkook performed the ceremony flawlessly, appearing every bit the picture of a loving couple. But only the two of them knew how awkward every touch felt, how hollow every smile truly was. The luxurious modern house in Gangnam stood firm and elegant, with a white marble facade and clean lines exuding a sense of simplicity yet sophistication. In the front yard, a neatly arranged garden bloomed with colorful seasonal flowers, and newly installed garden lights made the place look like a dream home at night. 5 spacious bedrooms were spread across 2 floors, complete with household staff ready to serve at any time. Anyone would think this was paradise for newlyweds, but for Yin and Jungkook, it felt more like a battlefield wrapped in a golden ribbon. As soon as the last suitcase was carried inside, Yin strode briskly up the stairs, the sharp click of her heels echoing on the polished wooden floor. "I'll be sleeping in the master bedroom," she said firmly, pointing to the large door at the end of the second-floor hallway. Jungkook, just closing the front door behind him, raised an eyebrow and followed at a leisurely pace, hands in his pockets. "The master bedroom's supposed to be for both of us," he said evenly, though his gaze carried a challenge. "If you don't want to share it with me, then you're the one who has to move out." Yin stopped and spun around, glaring. "Wait," she half shouted, annoyed by his calm tone that made her feel powerless. "I want the master bedroom too." Jungkook deliberately slowed his steps, stopping right in front of her. A sly grin appeared on his face, the same mischievous smile that had always made Yin want to throw something at him since college. "Want to share it with me?" he murmured, voice laced with teasing. "I wouldn't mind." Yin froze for a split second, ready to fire back a long retort, but her mind betrayed her with the image of how uncomfortable it would be to share a room with Jungkook, the man who always made her blood boil. Her face warmed, not from embarrassment, but from sheer irritation at the very thought. "In your dreams," Yin snapped, folding her arms across her chest. Jungkook let out a low chuckle, clearly satisfied to see her flustered. "Then pick another room. I'm not moving out of here." Without waiting for a reply, he pushed open the master bedroom door and stepped inside, closing it deliberately slowly in front of her face, just to annoy her. Yin let out a loud huff, nearly kicking the door if not for the house staff walking around nearby. With a sour expression, she stomped down the hallway, searching for the room farthest from the master bedroom. "So irritating," she muttered under her breath. At last, she found a room at the very end of the second-floor corridor, far enough to make sure Jungkook had no reason to suddenly show up with that infuriating grin. The room was smaller than the master bedroom but still large and luxurious, featuring a big window overlooking the back garden and a private balcony. 3 months passed without much change. Yin and Jungkook's married life remained cold, orderly, and almost devoid of emotion. They only met during breakfast and dinner, sitting at opposite ends of a long mahogany dining table that could seat 10, though it was always just the two of them, separated by nearly 5 meters. Their conversations were strictly formal. No teasing, no loving glances like newlyweds usually share. Every time they spoke, their words sounded more like weekly performance reports than a husband and wife chat. That night, a light drizzle tapped against the dining room windows. The crystal chandelier overhead cast shimmering reflections across the polished table surface. Mrs. Kim, the head housekeeper who had served Jungkook's parents for decades and was now assigned to his mansion, observed from a distance with a weary sigh. Yin sat gracefully in her chair, wearing a cream silk blouse. With precise movements, she sliced into the freshly served Wagyu steak. "I closed a deal with Samsung today," she said flatly, as if merely reporting the weather. "Good," Jungkook replied without looking up, still scrolling through notifications on his phone before setting it beside his plate. "I signed a MOU with a Japanese firm for an apartment project in Bizen." Yin took a slow sip of wine. "How much is the project worth?" she asked casually, though a flicker of competitiveness gleamed in her eyes. 50 billion won, Jungkook answered curtly, spearing a piece of steak with his fork. Yin arched an eyebrow, a faint smile tugging at her lips. "Not bad. My deal was 75 billion. Silence hung over the table for several seconds. Jungkook finally looked up, narrowing his eyes at her. "You always have to win, don't you?" he said, his tone a mix of annoyance and reluctant admiration. Yin leaned back in her chair, dabbing her lips with a napkin. "It's a natural talent," she replied coolly, brimming with confidence. Mrs. Kim, standing near the doorway, could only shake her head slowly. Instead of flirting like young newlyweds, they're butting heads like to CEOs in a boardroom, she thought to herself. The soft clink of knives and forks against fine porcelain became the only sound in the room. Outside, the rain grew heavier, but inside the mansion, the chill came not from the weather, but from its two equally stubborn occupants. Mrs. Kim stepped forward with the dessert tray. "Would you like tiramisu or fresh fruit this evening, sir and ma'am?" she asked politely, attempting to lighten the mood. "Fruit," Yin replied without glancing up. "Tiramisu," Jungkook said at the exact same moment. Their eyes met instantly, neither willing to give an inch. Mrs. Kim quickly let out a discreet sigh and forced a polite smile. "Very well, I'll prepare both," she said swiftly, hoping to diffuse the tension. As she walked back toward the kitchen, she muttered under her breath, "Both of them are so hard-headed. At this rate, this dining table will turn into a Cold War battlefield every night." That night, Yin was sitting in her study, reviewing financial reports, when a maid knocked on the door. "Ma'am, there's a delivery for you." Yin accepted a white envelope, the handwriting on it instantly familiar. The moment she opened it and read the contents, her face went pale. With great joy, we invite you to our wedding, Choi Yoo-ju and Kim Min-ju. Yoo-ju, Yin whispered, her eyes welling with tears. Yoo-ju had been her best friend in high school. They were inseparable, like twins, always together wherever they went. But after graduation, when they went to different universities, their communication began to fade. The last time they met had been nearly 2 years ago. Yin desperately wanted to attend her best friend's wedding, but there was one enormous problem: Yoo-geum. Kim Yoo-geum, her high school boyfriend. They'd dated for 2 years, and Yin had truly loved him. She had even dreamed of marrying him someday. But that dream was shattered when Yin discovered Yoo-geum had cheated on her with Minji, their classmate. What hurt even more was that Yoo-geum and Minji eventually got married last year, and they looked blissfully happy together. Yin knew for certain they'd also be at Yoo-ju's wedding, since all of them had been classmates back in school. How am I supposed to face them? Yin murmured, clutching the invitation so tightly it crumpled in her hand. Without realizing it, tears began streaming down her cheeks. The memories came rushing back, the devastation she'd felt upon learning of Yoo-geum's betrayal. It had taken her years to heal from that wound, and now, her marriage to Jungkook wasn't even built on love. Meanwhile, Yoo-geum and Minji had married for love, even if that love had been born out of betrayal. Life really isn't fair, she whispered hoarsely. Jungkook was walking toward his bedroom when he passed by Yin's study and heard the faint sound of muffled sobs. He stopped, glancing through the small gap of the door left ajar. Yin was sitting at her desk, head bowed, clutching an invitation in her left hand while her right hand covered her face. Her shoulders trembled as she tried to hold back tears. For the first time in 3 months of marriage, Jungkook saw Yin in a moment of true vulnerability. The woman who always appeared strong, composed, and self-assured could cry too. On some impulse he didn't quite understand, Jungkook knocked and stepped into the room. Yin, what's going on? Yin hastily wiped her tears and tried to smile. Nothing, I'm just tired. Tired enough to cry? Jungkook took a seat on the sofa opposite her. I'm not stupid, Yin. She stayed silent, fingers crushing the envelope in her hand. Jungkook's eyes narrowed at the sight of the crisp white card. A wedding invitation? He guessed. Yin gave a faint nod. Why are you crying? Shouldn't you be happy your friend's getting married? Yin let out a bitter laugh. You wouldn't understand. Try me. I might be more understanding than you think. Jungkook leaned back against the sofa, arms crossed. Yin looked at him hesitantly. For some reason, tonight she was too exhausted to keep everything bottled up. It's from Yoo-ju, my best friend in high school, she said quietly. I want to go, but my ex will be there, with his wife. Jungkook raised a brow, intrigued. Okay, and the problem is? Tears welled in Yin's eyes. The problem is, they married for love, while her voice faltered. Our marriage can't even be called a real marriage. Jungkook went still. Something sharp twisted in his chest at the sound of that despair in her voice when she spoke about their marriage. So you're ashamed of us? He asked softly, though the question made him uneasy. I'm not ashamed, Yin rubbed her face in frustration. Yoo-geum cheated on me, with Minji, our classmate, and now those two are living happily ever after. While you're married to a man you don't love, Jungkook finished flatly. But Yin's gaze hardened. Not just that, he doesn't love me either. Her words hit him harder than he expected, though he kept quiet for a long moment before replying. So you're not going because you're afraid to look unhappy? I'm not afraid, Yin shot back, voice rising. I'm just not ready. Not ready, or just can't stand looking like you've lost. Yin's head jerked up, eyes blazing. What's that supposed to mean? Jungkook gave her a thin smile. You're the type who can't stand losing, Yin. I've known you for years, and right now you feel like you've lost to your ex, because he married for love while you didn't. Yin opened her mouth to protest, then closed it, realizing he wasn't wrong. But you know what's more humiliating than showing up in an unhappy marriage? Jungkook continued. What? Not showing up at all. That would make you look like a coward who can't face her past. Yin stared at him wide-eyed. He was right. If she didn't go, people would definitely talk, especially Yoo-geum and Minji. But going alone was out of the question. That would only highlight how cold things were between her and Jungkook. Then a crazy idea flashed through her mind. Jungkook, she said softly, eyes fixed on him. Will you help me? Help you how? Yin drew in a deep breath. Come with me to Yoo-ju's wedding, and pretend to be a husband who loves his wife. Jungkook blinked, momentarily stunned. Of all the things she could have asked him, this was the last he'd expected. You're serious? Very serious. Her eyes were shining now, almost pleading. I know you don't love me, but please, just for one day, pretend we're a happy couple, so I don't look pathetic in front of them. It wasn't that Jungkook didn't want to help. What cut him was that his own wife had to beg him to fake affection, when he'd already begun to open his heart to her, only to find her building walls higher and higher. He studied her face for a long moment. Then a mischievous idea crept into his mind. If she wanted to play this game, maybe he'd play it on his terms. Alright, Jungkook said at last, lips curling into a faint smile. I'll help you. Really? Yin's eyes lit up. But Jungkook raised an index finger, on one condition. Her delight turned instantly wary. What condition? Jungkook's grin widened, his gaze glinting with playful mischief. After we get back from that wedding, that night, you'll give yourself to me, as my wife. We'll make love for the first time. Yin's face flared crimson. You're insane? I'm not insane. We've been married for 3 months and haven't so much as touched each other. That's not normal for a husband and wife. Jungkook leaned back casually, as if he'd merely asked Yin to make him a cup of coffee. But our marriage was arranged, not for love. Yin shot back, her face flushed. So what? To me, love or not, as long as she's my wife legally, I have every right to touch her. Yin's mouth opened and closed like a fish, scrambling for a counter-argument to his maddening logic. What if I refuse? She asked, voice trembling. Jungkook shrugged. Then that's fine, but I won't help you either. Feel free to show up alone at your friend's wedding. Yin glared at him, eyes wide. You're so mean. I'm not being mean. I'm just proposing a fair trade. You need my help, and I'm simply asking for my rights as your husband. I won't force you, but you can't force me to help you either. He stood and moved toward the door. Think about it. Let me know when you decide. Once Jungkook left, Yin sat frozen, her head spinning. On one hand, she desperately needed his help. On the other hand, his condition made her heart race with panic. Sleep with him? Yin shook her head fiercely. No, I can't. But then Yugyeom and Minji's faces floated into her mind, those pitying looks they'd surely give her if she showed up alone. Worse, they might think her marriage to Jungkook was falling apart. Yin bit down hard on her lower lip. Her pride couldn't stand that. That night, Yin couldn't sleep. She tossed to the right, then to the left, staring at the dim ceiling. The wall clock ticked softly, yet each sound felt like a hammer against her skull, marking every passing minute while her thoughts spun endlessly out of control. If I refused Jungkook's request, she murmured under her breath. Her heart sank at the image of walking alone into Yuju's wedding party. Pitying smiles from her friends, the condescending look on Yugyeom and Minji's faces, and the inevitable, needling questions. Where's your husband, Yin? They'd all ask. Yin bit her lip hard, almost to the point of pain. She knew she was terrible at lying. Her face was always more honest than her words. But if I accept, her breath hitched. Heat rushed to her cheeks as Jungkook's outrageous demand replayed in her mind. She yanked the blanket up to her chin as if it could hide her flushed face, though she was completely alone. She tried to think about anything else, but instead Jungkook's image sharpened, tall, broad-shouldered, that razor-edged jawline, and the infuriating smile that somehow managed to make her heart skip a beat. Yin swallowed hard. Oh my god, what are you even thinking, Yin? She remembered how his calm gaze always seemed to read her secrets, how his easy tone carried a quiet authority she could never quite ignore. And now, this proposal. Shaking her head, Yin grabbed a pillow and smacked herself lightly with it. God, you're losing it, Yin, she muttered hoarsely, curling up on the bed, her face burned even hotter with embarrassment, not at him, but at herself, for imagining things she absolutely shouldn't about the man she bickered with every single day. Yet beneath all the frustration, something strange fluttered in her chest, a spark of curiosity she didn't dare name. Elsewhere in the house, the atmosphere was entirely different. Jungkook lay sprawled on the king-size bed, one hand tucked behind his head, a faint smile tugging at his lips. He stared at the ceiling with the smug satisfaction of someone who'd already won a game that hadn't even started. He knew Yin was awake right now. He could picture her tossing and turning, desperately trying to find a way out of the little trap he'd set. But Jungkook also knew something even more certain. Yin's pride wouldn't let her back down. No way she'd show up alone and look defeated, especially in front of her ex, Jungkook thought. She'll want to hold her head high, and she'll need me to do that. His smile widened, a mischievous glint flashing in his eyes. Sorry, Yin, he murmured, voice barely above a whisper, but I've been waiting 3 months for this. Content. Jungkook drew in a deep breath and closed his eyes. There was no rush. In his mind, her decision was already made. He just had to wait for that stubborn woman to finally admit it. The next morning, Yin came down to the dining room sporting dark circles under her eyes. Jungkook was already there, sitting casually with a tablet in one hand and coffee in the other. Good morning, wife, he greeted with exaggerated cheer. Sleep well? Yin shot him a sharp look. Don't act innocent. You know exactly why I couldn't sleep. Oh, do I? Jungkook asked with mock innocence, though his eyes sparkled with mischief. Yin dropped into the seat across from him with a thud. Fine, I'll accept your terms. Jungkook nearly choked on his coffee, but recovered quickly. Seriously? Seriously. Yin locked eyes with him, her expression unwavering. But remember, this is strictly business. I'm doing this with you, not because I want to, but because I need your help. Jungkook's grin widened. Deal. They shook hands over the breakfast table like two executives sealing a high-stakes contract. Finally, Yuju's wedding day arrived. Yin chose an elegant navy blue dress that wasn't too flashy. She didn't want to outshine the bride. Jungkook also wore a dark blue suit that made him look incredibly handsome and classy. They deliberately chose matching colors to appear harmonious. Yin stepped into the master bedroom for the first time to check on Jungkook. He was adjusting his suit in the mirror when he caught sight of her. Ready? He asked, glancing at his reflection as if making sure everything was immaculate. Yin took a deep breath. Ready. Then she stepped closer, lowering her voice. Shouldn't we practice first? At least to make sure our acting looks natural in front of everyone. Jungkook smiled faintly at her through the mirror. What exactly do we need to practice? You have to call me by a sweet nickname in front of people, Yin replied, now standing beside him, both facing the mirror. And don't forget to hold my hand. Fine, but you have to smile when I put my arm around you, Jungkook countered as he fastened his watch. And if anyone asks about our marriage, just tell them we're blissfully happy. Of course. Yin turned to face him fully. You won't do anything weird there, will you? Jungkook raised a brow. Weird how? You know, over the top, so people don't get suspicious. He stepped closer, a mischievous smile tugging at his lips. Actually, we need to be a little over the top. That way, your ex is convinced you're thrilled to be married to me. Yin swallowed hard as Jungkook closed the distance. Over the top. Like what? Suddenly, Jungkook's arm slipped around her waist, pulling her against him. Yin instinctively placed her hands on his chest, trying to keep some space between them. Like this, Jungkook whispered near her ear. Her heart pounded at the warmth of his breath on her skin. Jungkook. Relax, this is just a rehearsal, he murmured with an easy smile, though he made no move to release her. Yin found herself looking into his eyes, so close, so sharp, and yet, inexplicably mesmerizing. No, Yin, don't fall for it, she scolded herself silently. That's enough practice, she said quickly, pushing gently against his chest. Jungkook let her go with a knowing smirk. Alright, but don't be surprised if I do more than this at the party. Yin's cheeks burned. Why did her husband enjoy making her nervous so much? They left in Jungkook's sleek luxury car. Yin sat tensely, her hands restless, sometimes fiddling with her bag, sometimes smoothing her hair. Relax, Jungkook said smoothly as he drove. Today, I'll be the best husband in the world. Yin shot him a wary look. Promise? Promise. The hotel hosting Yuju's reception gleamed with elegant decor. Guests were already arriving, many of them familiar faces from high school. Yin and Jungkook stepped gracefully out of the car. Guests nearby immediately began whispering. Wow, is that Yin? Her husband's ridiculously handsome. They look perfect together. I heard he's a super young CEO, filthy rich. Yin allowed herself a small smile at the murmurs. First impressions, flawless. Jungkook slipped an arm around her waist with deliberate possessiveness and murmured against her ear, Showtime, baby. Yin scanned the crowd and spotted Yuju near the altar with her groom. Yuju, she called out brightly. Yuju turned, face lighting up. Yin, you came. They hugged warmly. Of course, came. It's your special day, Yin said, eyes glistening. Wow, you came with your husband, Yuju said, her eyes sparkling as she looked at Jungkook. Jungkook, right? I've seen your name in business magazines quite a lot. Jungkook smiled charmingly and extended his hand. It's a pleasure to meet you. Yin often talks about her best friend. Really? Yuju glanced at Yin with a teasing glint in her eyes. You two must be so romantic if you even have time to talk about me, she said with a cheerful laugh. Yin nearly choked, but Jungkook quickly slipped his arm around her shoulder and added smoothly, Yin's an incredibly open wife. She loves to share everything with me. His voice sounded so genuine, even Yin almost believed it. She shot him a wide-eyed look, but he only winked casually. After congratulating the newlyweds, Yin and Jungkook looked for a place to sit. On the way, Yin ran into several other high school friends, and they exchanged warm greetings to catch up. Jungkook also showed his care and attentiveness in front of Yin's high school friends, as if they were truly newlyweds madly in love. Suddenly, Yin? Someone called her name. Yin turned around, and her heart skipped a beat. Standing there was Kim Yugeum in a perfectly tailored black suit, with Park Minji beside him in a beautiful pink dress. The two of them looked like the perfect, happy couple. Yugeum, Minji. Yin greeted them with a slightly stiff smile. Oh my god, Yin, long time no see, Minji chirped brightly, as if there were no dark history between them. Is this your husband? To Minji, Yin being married meant there should be no hard feelings left. Yin felt Jungkook's hand slide firmly around her waist, possessive and protective. Let me introduce you. This is my husband, Jeon Jungkook. Their wedding, arranged by family, had been an intimate yet grand affair, attended only by close relatives and key business associates. Jungkook stood tall with an aura of sheer charisma. Jeon Jungkook, it's a pleasure to meet my wife's friends. Yugeum offered a slightly tense smile as he shook Jungkook's hand. Kim Yugeum, and this is my wife, Minji. The handshake carried an unspoken tension, Yugeum sizing Jungkook up, while Jungkook's gaze was calm but unreadable. So, how long have you been married? Minji asked curiously. 3 months, Yin replied. Still newlyweds then. You must be really sweet on each other, Minji giggled. Jungkook grinned and pulled Yin closer into his embrace. Very sweet. We barely leave the house on weekends because we prefer spending time together. His voice was laced with implication, making Yin's cheeks burn. Jungkook, Yin whispered, giving his side a discreet pinch. What is it, baby? I'm only telling the truth, Jungkook replied with an innocent smile, though his eyes glinted mischievously. Yugeum cleared his throat. How did you two meet? Oh, we've known each other since college. We used to fight all the time, Yin said with a smile, glancing up at Jungkook. But I guess from all that fighting, feelings grew. That's right, Yin was incredibly stubborn, but that's exactly what made me fall in love, Jungkook added, pressing a soft kiss to her cheek. Not to mention, she's gorgeous and brilliant, the smartest girl in our class. I'm so proud to make her my wife. Yin nearly fainted at the feel of Jungkook's lips brushing her cheek, but she forced herself to stay composed and smile sweetly. For a fleeting moment, she caught Jungkook's gaze. He looked so genuinely proud of her. Wow, how romantic, Minji said with sparkling eyes. We're like that too, aren't we, honey? She asked, gazing at Yugeum with obvious affection. Yugeum only gave a brief nod. Well then, we should go greet Yuju. His stiff smile made it clear he wanted to end the conversation. Go ahead, Yin replied coolly, gesturing for them to leave. Once Yugeum and Minji walked off, Yin and Jungkook stood in silence for a few seconds until Jungkook finally asked, You okay? Yin nodded. Thanks, you really helped just now. Of course, we're a team. Yin gave him a faint smile. For the first time, Jungkook didn't feel like an adversary, but an ally. Seeing that, Jungkook smiled back. Good, now let's go find some food. People will probably be watching us even more after this. Yin nodded, and they made their way to a table, ready to enjoy the dinner. The reception continued with plenty of entertainment, group photos, games, and of course, dancing. When a slow song began to play, couples started filling the dance floor. Wanna dance? Jungkook offered his hand. Yin hesitated for a moment, but then slipped her hand into his. Together, they walked to the crowded floor. Jungkook's arm slid around Yin's waist, while her hand rested lightly on his shoulder. They began to move in sync to the soft rhythm of the music. So you can dance, Yin remarked. Jungkook chuckled softly. Not really. This is actually my first time. As they swayed, Yin accidentally caught Yugeum watching them from his table. His expression, was that jealousy? Jungkook, Yin whispered. Yugeum is staring at us. Jungkook glanced briefly in Yugeum's direction, then smirked. Perfect. Let's give him something worth watching. He suddenly pulled Yin closer until their bodies were nearly pressed together. His right hand slid lower on her waist, while his left tilted her chin up so she had no choice but to look at him. Jungkook, What are you? Shh, just follow my lead, he murmured against her ear. Their movements became more intimate, Jungkook guiding her effortlessly as though he'd done this 1,000 times. At first stiff, Yin gradually relaxed and followed his rhythm, and to her own surprise, she was enjoying it. She felt secure, as if she stumbled, Jungkook would catch her without hesitation. For a moment, Yin forgot this was all an act. All she could feel was her racing heartbeat, and Jungkook's dark eyes locked onto hers, full of an emotion she couldn't name. Their breaths mingled, their bodies close enough to feel every movement. When the music finally ended, they both stepped apart a little awkwardly, suddenly aware of how intense that moment had been. To break the tension, Jungkook slipped easily back into his attentive husband role. Thirsty? He asked softly. Yin just nodded, still catching her breath. I'll get you something to drink, he said, heading to the refreshment table. But before Jungkook returned, Yugyeom appeared by Yin's side. Can we talk for a moment? He asked. Yin blinked, startled. Talk about what? About us, about before. Yin narrowed her eyes. There's nothing to talk about, Yugyeom. Yin, I know you're still hurt. About me and Minji. Hurt? Yin let out a cold laugh. You think I'm still thinking about you too? Look. She pointed toward Jungkook, who was walking backward to glasses. I have a husband far better than you. But Yin. No buts, Yugyeom. Yin turned to face him squarely, fire blazing in her eyes. You made your choice back then, and now I've made mine, a much better one. Jungkook reached them just as the conversation ended. Seeing Yin's annoyed expression, he instantly understood. Something wrong, baby? Jungkook asked casually, slipping his arm around her waist in a protective grip. No problem. Yugyeom was just done talking. Yin accepted her drink with a sweet smile toward Jungkook. Yugyeom narrowed his eyes at Jungkook. You're lucky to have her. I know, Jungkook replied with a smile that looked friendly, though there was a cold glint in his eyes. And I will never leave her for the rest of my life. The words carried a subtle warning. Yugyeom seemed to understand and walked away without another word. Did he bother you? Jungkook asked once they were alone. A little, but it's over now. Yin looked up at Jungkook, gratitude in her eyes. Thanks. Anytime, wife, Jungkook replied smoothly. The wedding reception ended in the late afternoon. The ride home felt quieter than the trip there. Yin stared out the window, nervously fiddling with her handbag, while Jungkook focused on driving, occasionally glancing at her. You okay? Jungkook asked. Yeah, just tired. You managed to make your ex jealous, Jungkook said with a faint smile. Yin turned to him. What do you mean? Yugyeom, he was clearly jealous when he saw us, especially when we danced. Yin recalled the moment on the dance floor. Her heart started racing again. Oh, right. Mission accomplished then. Jungkook glanced at her briefly. Satisfied? Very, thank you, Jungkook. Today, you really helped. Good, then you're ready to hold up your end of the deal? Yin's face flushed. On the ride home, she had almost forgotten Jungkook's condition. Aye, she stammered. Relax, let's get home first. Shower, dinner then. We'll talk about it. Jungkook smiled in a way that made Yin's belly flutter. Once they arrived at the mansion, Yin hurried to her room under the pretense of changing and showering. In truth, she just needed time to calm herself and prepare mentally. Oh, come on, Yin, you're 25. This isn't weird for a married couple, she muttered inwardly, standing before the mirror and staring at her reflection. Yet she couldn't shake off the nerves. Maybe because it would be her first time, or maybe because their marriage had always felt like two strangers living under one roof. After showering and changing into a peach silk pajama set, Yin went downstairs to the dining room. Jungkook was already seated, wearing casual clothes, a white t-shirt, and gray sweatpants, looking more relaxed yet still effortlessly attractive. Ready to eat? Jungkook asked with a smile. Yes. Dinner passed with light conversation about the event earlier, but Yin could barely swallow her food, her mind stuck on what might happen afterward. Yin, Jungkook suddenly said. Yes? You don't have to be so tense. I'm not a monster. Yin flushed. I'm not tense. You barely touched your food, and your hands were shaking when you held your glass. Jungkook leaned back, watching her calmly. If you really don't want to, that's fine. I won't force you. Yin's eyes widened. Really? Really, but I still hope. One day you'll want to. Not because of a deal or pressure. Something in his voice warmed her chest. He was gentler than she thought. Jungkook, Yin set down her spoon. Honestly, I do want to. I'm just nervous. Jungkook smiled softly. Why nervous? Because it's my first time. Even with my ex, I never. Yin trailed off, her face burning. Jungkook's eyes lit up. That makes me even happier. Because it's my first time too. Yes, I had a girlfriend, but I never did anything like that. I wanted to wait for my wife. Yin blinked in surprise. Seriously? Somehow, she felt relieved that she would be Jungkook's first as well. He nodded, calm but firm. Yes, that's why I want you. Because you're my wife. Jungkook reached across the table and took her hand. Yin, I need to tell you the truth. Today, seeing you genuinely happy for beating your ex, I realized something. I want to see that smile more often. The real smile, not the fake ones you usually give me. Yin went quiet at his words. I know we didn't marry for love, but why not try to make this marriage work? To get to know each other, care for each other, and maybe, he paused, meeting her eyes seriously, maybe one day fall in love. Yin's eyes grew misty. You really mean that? Honestly, I don't want a cold marriage like this. I want us to be a real couple. Warmth bloomed in Yin's chest. All this time, she thought Jungkook only saw her as a fake wife. Turns out, he wanted something real too. I want that too, Yin whispered. I don't want a cold marriage either. Jungkook grinned, stood up, and lifted Yin bridal style, startling her, but she didn't resist. She instinctively wrapped her arms around his neck. Then, starting tonight, no more separate rooms, okay? He murmured. Yin smiled and buried her face in his neck. Okay? Jungkook smiled at her response, carrying her toward the master bedroom. Yin's heart pounded wildly, not from fear, but excitement. Jungkook, Yin whispered as they reached the bedroom door. Thank you, for today, for your words, for everything. He opened the door with one hand, smiling gently. And thank you for giving us a chance. He placed Yin gently on the edge of the bed, then sat beside her, cupping her face with both hands. Yin, I want you to know, tonight isn't about fulfilling a deal. It's about starting a new chapter in our marriage. Yin nodded, placing her hands over his. I understand. He leaned closer. May I kiss you? Yin gave a shy smile. You're my husband. Of course you can. Jungkook smiled and pressed his lips softly against hers. Their first kiss as a real couple felt sweet and full of promise. The kiss deepened, breaths mingling, as if the room itself couldn't contain the growing warmth between them. Jungkook drew her closer, his fingers tracing her back, though his movements grew more urgent, filled with barely restrained desire. They believe that after this, their relationship will surely grow warmer, not because they made love tonight, but because they both finally realized that all this time, they have both wanted to save this marriage, and for that reason, they will make it happen.